Okay, let's do this.
Monday Motivational Madness. A crazy good way to start your week.
Good morning, you amazing rogues, and welcome to Monday Motivational Madness. Today for motivation, I want to share something with you that I think is very, very important whenever we're doing this thing, this creative thing, right? No matter what level you're at, no matter where you're at, no matter how much you've applied yourself to it, it is always important, at least in my opinion, to stop and acknowledge your accomplishments, to take a look and see where it was that you were at a year ago or even 2 years ago and where you are now after having really put yourself in there or putting yourself out there. I constantly have to remind myself to just stop and acknowledge the wins, acknowledge how much and how far I've come, how much I've accomplished. I get to reflect back to where I was and even reflect back to life before I actually jumped in with both feet when it came to art, and just taking a look at my life and realizing like, oh, you know what? I grabbed the reins of my life and look at where I'm at. Look at what I've been able to accomplish. And even with the roller coaster ride that is an art career, or really the roller coaster ride that is life, being able to look back and say, you know what? I took one more step up that staircase. Just one step. And it's the small wins and acknowledging like where we're at. We have the tendency to just kind of normalize things where they're at and forget where we were before. And I think that does us a disservice because it's easy to nitpick the things that aren't working out. It's easy to nitpick, oh man, this is great that this is happening, but this kind of sucks. And there's always going to be the things that suck and the things that are not working out quite as well as you'd like them to. But they're always an improvement over what came before. And if you stop, and unfortunately we have to stop. We have to stop to acknowledge it, because it's not like on the daily you're just focused on all your accomplishments. And I know from personal experience that you could go years with feeling like nothing is happening. Like, man, how can I make this happen a lot sooner? Even with us where we're at, there are plenty of times where I'm thinking to myself like, man, how can I get myself out there more? How can I attract more money into my life? How can I do this? How can I do that? And I honestly think that that's not a question that will actually go away anytime soon. In fact, most of the people that I knew, or even people that I know today that I consider extremely successful at what they do, they're always thinking, what more can I do? What more can I accomplish? The difference is with a lot of people, and I noticed this with people that are a lot happier and have a lot more faith in the fact that they're on a steady stream, that they're moving forward, are the people that are willing to look back at their accomplishments and see like, wow, look at how far I've come. Because you forget that. You forget how far you've come from where you were even a few months ago or a year ago, where you are now versus where you were before. And acknowledge and celebrate the awesomeness that is you. And acknowledge and celebrate the creations and the experimentations and the failures and all the things that have made you a much stronger person now when it comes to doing this. When it comes to doing this life thing, really, is what I'm talking about. It's not only the art career, because art and life and all that stuff is so intertwined that I think it's very important to stop and acknowledge like, wow, you know what? I faced my fears. I like myself more. Just little things. I stepped away from this toxic person. I did this, like the ability to stop and just acknowledge like, you know, I'm kind of a badass. A lot of times I'll get questions from you guys or from other people, and it's like, you know, I just feel like things aren't working out. I feel like blah, blah, blah. And that's because, like I said, it's easy to normalize a situation and look at the problems that are in that situation at that moment. But when you step back and you look at the whole landscape and you see the problems that you were having back in the day and realize that those problems, although they may seem similar, that they are slightly different and that you've overcome so much since then, it causes you to look at the stuff that you're dealing with now and realize, you know what? This is going to be better. Hindsight, I'm going to be looking back at this and say like, oh, you know what? I'm a badass. I figured that out. And I think that that's what looking at your wins, looking at where you're at versus where you were is so important. Because no matter what, it's always, as long as you stick to it, stick to whatever it is. And I don't mean like creating an art career and making money, although I do mean that as well. If that was your primary focus, then great. You're going to be in a much better place than you were a year or 2 years ago. As far as like knowledge and knowing more about yourself and getting more of a solid footing, but also just in life and emotional and all that stuff, looking back and realizing like, wow, I'm still here. I'm still here and I am unstoppable and I am not willing to stop. And it's those things, those acknowledgments, those tiny acknowledgments, the tiny wins, and even with the failures and realizing, yes, that happened, but holy crap, I'm still here and I'm still at it and I am unstoppable. My Monday motivational madness for you is this week, take a look and see how far you've come and acknowledge that and celebrate that. Other than that, you guys have an amazing week. And remember what I said, celebrate your accomplishments because you guys are badasses. So you need to acknowledge the fact that you are a badass and celebrate that. All right. I adore you guys. Adios. Mwah.
Total awesomeness.